Hey everyone, it's Andrew Esquivel here, and today I'm going to teach you how to open a port on the ZyXEL ZyWall USG20 firewall. So, first things first, you're going to log into your firewall via the web GUI, and then you're going to go into configuration, which is these gears right over here. Next, you're going to go to your firewall, and it's already on the firewall, but I'm going to click it anyway, just as an example here. So, this is where you configure your ports. Now, it's not going to be as simple as your standard run-of-the-mill router. We actually have to do a few things. So, first up, in order to add a new rule, and in this case the rule is to open a port, we're going to click Add New Rule. And it's going to bring up this menu right here. Now, to explain a few things, because this may be confusing to some people. First off, the from. Essentially, this is asking, where is the incoming transmission coming from? What ports on your firewall is the incoming traffic from? In my case, let's say we're running a server of some sorts. So the incoming connection is coming from the internet, which if that's the case, it would probably be your WAN port, your wide area network port. So that's where it's from. Next up, where is it going to? On which ports of your firewall is this traffic being directed to? In my case, it's on my LAN 2 network. Now, on this firewall, there's 3 options that you can choose from for your ports on whatever you set it up to. You've got your LAN 1, your LAN 2, and your DMZ. And I'll show you that in a minute, but for the sake of the situation here, all you need to know is this is whatever port on the back of your firewall that your server is connected to. So, next up, a description. You really want to put a description, because if you don't, you're going to not remember what exactly this is once it's in the list. So, we're just simply going to name this test, because I'm not really opening a port for any of my needs. I'm just showing you guys how to do it. For the schedule, you don't really need that unless you really want to. I haven't fooled around with that. And you can select what kind of users you're going to allow this type of exception through the firewall for. As for source and destination, you can also make that more specific if you wish, but it's not necessary for our particular needs at this time. Now, the big thing, the service. The service is actually what you need to configure in this to make it work. Now, if you were to compare this to a regular router, this would be where you specify what port number you want open, the type of protocol it's using, and that kind of thing. So, as you notice, there's a list. There's no just blank thing to type in what you want. Well, that's because you need to create a service to select. This makes it simpler in the end if you have to use the same service for different things. So we're going to go to Create New Object, and we're going to select Service. Now let's name the service Test 1. Let's assume it's TCP, but you can change it. Your selections are TCP, UDP, ICMP, ICMPv6, and user-defined. But let's just assume it's TCP. Now your starting port. It's going to be whatever you need it to be, but let's just assume it's 9000. Now, as for the ending port, if you just want 9000 and you don't want a range, you should be able to just type in 9000 and it'll stick to only that port. But for, OCD's sake, let's put 9000 as our ending port as well. And then we click OK. Now, you've made the service, but it's not selected yet. You need to go in here, and you can just press the first letter of the service name, and it should bring you to that category. It'll give you the list. And we made Test 1. Now, access. Do we want to allow this or deny this connection? Since we're trying to get people to connect to our server, we're going to click Allow. And here's the log. You can set it to no, which means whenever you get a connection through this, it just doesn't tell you. It'll just do whatever it does. Log, which if you want to go into your server logs, you'll see that there's connections, or log and alert. The login alert will not only log it, but alert you on your monitoring section of the firewall in the web GUI. But we're not going to worry about that. We've got this checked enabled here, and we're going to click OK. And it's going to load. It's going to change a few things. You notice now our service over here is test 1. Our connection from, to, schedule, users, source, destination, service, address, all that stuff. So this is where you're going to see all the changes you've made. Alright? And you can set the priority to go up and down by clicking on it and move, but that's not entirely necessary for what we need to do. So this menu lets you see every single thing in detail that you make, and it's convenient yet inconvenient at the same time, because let's say we want to rename this service. We can't just go back in here and rename the service. We can rename the description of this rule, but not the service. If you want to rename the service, we're going to go into System over here on the left, and then we're going to go, we're going to go to Object here on the left, and we're going to go to Service. My bad, guys, I'm sorry. And it should be alphabetical for the most part, but if we go to the very end, you'll see Test, and we will see its content. It's TCP port 9000, just like we set it to be. If we want to rename it, we double click on it, and let's name it Test 2. And as you can see under here, although we typed in 9000, the 9000 is gone now. It doesn't matter, it just means it's only port 9000. So we're going to click OK, and we're going to confirm this changed. Yep, Test 2. So if we go back to our firewall, you'll see that the service that we selected is now renamed Test 2. It's automatic. So all that being said, that is how you open a port on this firewall. Now let's say you don't want that port open anymore, but you don't necessarily want to delete it from this list. You can select inactive, and you'll see that this light bulb turned off and that there's a red little thing in the side here. Well, it's not inactive right now. That little red thing on the side means it's a pending option. In order to apply this option, you click Apply. So if we apply it, everything loads, and now the pending sign is gone. Now let's say you wanted to inactive more than just one. You can click, hold Control, click something else, and then you can select multiple things, and you can do that for whatever the case may be. Or if you wanted to select a whole row, you can click here, hold Shift, and then click on the other one, and it'll select all those. But yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know about opening a port. It's not that hard, actually, once you know how to do it. And it's actually a lot nicer than normal firewalls built into your router. But it takes a little getting used to. And once you know how to do it, all will be well. So, that's all you need to know about opening a port on this firewall. Since I don't need this, we're going to click Remove, and it'll take it out of there. And I'm back to what everything was before. Alright guys, happy configuring with your new firewall, or old firewall, whatever it may be. Hopefully you guys can get whatever you need to get running. And as always, thanks for watching.